Welcome to Midweek Medicine, where you are the medicine. And I'm joined with Joe Riley from Yes You at Yes You on Substack. And I am Alice. So welcome to today. And we're talking about what does embodiment mean for you? When we do new projects, when we put anything out in the world with the greatest intention, but we need to embody what we're doing and how we're doing it. Because when we don't embody it, it's not going to be successful. It's not going to reach the people that you want it to reach. So that's what we're talking about today. So what does embodiment mean to you, Joe? Let's share.
So for me, embodiment is living in the body and not just in your head. You know, most of us, I think, are very disconnected because we're overthinking all the time, overanalyzing, numbing out, finding distractions, which means we're not actually in our bodies. We're not listening to our bodies. Our bodies talk to us. And a good example is, you know, when you do something that doesn't feel right and your body's like, no, I shouldn't be doing this, and you do it anyway. And then what happens? You get the result that you knew you were going to get because you did it, because you pushed through and you went and did something when your body's saying no. It's listening to the nervous system.
Yeah. So it's really feeling and being in our body and being intentional about what we're hearing our bodies say to us and how we're saying it. So it's about being really grounded and really calm. Like you say, our nervous system, I mean, we only have to watch television to experience our nervous system going all over the show, doing a roller coaster and a backflip.
Absolutely.
Especially now.
And also our bodies hold everything, you know, they really do. You know, our bodies hold stress, they hold trauma, they hold joy, they hold wisdom. It's where it all lies. So the more we embody it and start really tapping into what our body's saying, the more we get to really start doing the things that light us up, the things that feel good, the things we're passionate about, the things that drive us, you know, that bring joy to our lives. Whatever it is for whoever, like everyone, we all have different, you know, what brings me joy might not bring other people joy. But as long as we're listening to what is going on in the body and making sure that we're always listening to our body, even when we are stressed, just taking a moment. You know, I say to clients sometimes, if you're stressed at work, just go into the toilet, just take some deep breaths, regulate, and then come back to it, because you'll come back much more with more clarity and much clearer answers than trying to just push all the time, because then you just become even more dysregulated.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really taking those time out. It's very easy just to be working at your computer, creating things and creating. But really, we need to sort of step back, get centered, you know, feet on the ground, you know, bare feet as much as possible. I know when it's really cold, it's really not easy.
That's me right now.
Exactly. But, you know, at home, be, you know, and, you know, there's lots of different techniques that you can do. Like you say, the breath is key for everything we do. I mean, we're really breathing life into our projects. You know, as we breathe our breath every moment automatically, we're actually breathing in our experiences.
And I think on that note, you know, it's just becoming present with the breath. And instead of just breathing robotically and automatically, because our bodies are made to do that, it's actually learning to manipulate your breath. So being present with it. So breathing deeply, not shallow, fast breaths, because that's going to give you more anxiety, more fight to flight. So actually breathing and consciously breathing in and bring it down to your belly so that your nervous system feels safe, so that you can start regulating. And obviously then, yeah, movement is so important. Also, it's a really good way of embodiment, because if you're dancing, shaking, you know, being in nature, like you said, all of these things help regulate ourselves. And, you know, we've spent so much time on social media, doom scrolling, television, all these things that are disconnecting us. And they're also not great vibrationally, you know, they carry a very low frequency. So if you are spending all your time, your spare time doing that and not being present with yourself and in your heart and in your body, you are going to start finding life stressful. You are going to not be able to manage things. You are going to start having anxiety and all of these other things that, you know, come with this, a dysregulated nervous system.
Yeah, it's really getting balance in your life, and especially when times are roller coastery. I don't think that's a word, but I'm using it anyway. When life's a roller coaster, we need to, really take some time out, really slot in our day, like in the morning, get some sunshine if you have it, get the light from the sun, take a walk, put these in your day, in between, take breaks in between doing your work, and just take a little bit of time out. Yeah, I love shaking. Shaking is a great thing. I mean,
Me
it
too.
really, really helps me. And yeah, playing some music, high vibrational music, some music that, I listened to this, actually it was on Instagram, I must say. My sister she sent me this message of this 9-year-old girl singing opera. And it was
Wow.
just so beautiful and touching. I had to listen to it twice because it was just, yeah, I mean, her voice was amazing, and she did it with just such, without ego. She just did it naturally. She was just sharing her gift and being who she, authentically being herself. And
Yeah.
this
Well, you
whole,
see, talking about ego, like your
yeah,
mind will always try and override everything. Your mind will always try and control everything. Your mind, unless you are in control of your mind, if your mind is in control of you, your mind will always override what is actually going on in your body. What is, being present, what feels right, what feels wrong. And then you can also, once you start really embodying your life, you start really listening to signs, and then you can actually start making changes that actually stop you getting sick, stop you having mental health issues, stop you having stress, stop you having illnesses. But you have to really start listening to the body. You've got to start tapping into what your body, the signals that the body is giving all the time, because that is where your truth lies, in your
absolutely.
body.
And that's why journaling for me is
Mm.
really, because, when we use our hands, that may be tough for writing, there's something that connects us, the neuroplasticity of a brain, we can get a lot of information. We can ask questions.
Yeah.
What is it I need to do today? I'm really stuck on this. Just write it out. Scribble it out, express, because that's how we're clearing the energy, the stuck energy in our body as well. We're clearing our mind. We're letting the mind go, the left brain, and we're getting more in touch with our right brain, the creative self.
Mm.
I find it very grounding and very supportive, and it's something you can do on your own. Sometimes we don't have people around us that we can discuss what's going on for us, and often we can find ourselves in really supporting roles for others. And so we really have to support ourselves. I always say we need to put the life jacket on ourselves first before we put it on somebody else. And
Yeah.
sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I forget that. I'm so easy to want to support others, which is nothing wrong with that. But I have to support myself too. And I
Mm.
have to process, what my nervous system feels from my surroundings and from people I'm in contact with. And like you say, for social media and the news and all of this, and our
Mm.
old brain just playing the same programs. We have to cut that. We have to really, bring all our energy into ourselves and make those changes. And it's only we can do it. No one
Yeah.
can do it for us, you know.
Absolutely.
And
And I
yeah,
think, just talking about that, it's just, when you also, embodiment and actually creating that space for yourself, you're more of service to others with a full cup than you
absolutely.
are with an empty cup, and just keep people pleasing and keep showing up for people when it's not right, when you shouldn't be doing it, you should be doing something else, but you can't say no. And that comes down, then it comes down to boundaries, and it's okay. It's actually very powerful to have boundaries. It's very powerful because you don't have to be rude or disrespectful to someone, but actually saying no because you need to rather process something, or you need time by yourself, or you need alone time, you need to be present, you need to be in yourself. It's okay to say no. Doesn't mean you're not being of service, or you're not showing up for somebody by having boundaries.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we have to, like I said, we have to work on ourselves, because
Mm.
if we don't work on ourselves, we really can't support others. And, women do have a tendency for overgiving, and and not being in the receiving role. Because,
Yeah.
how often do you actually, I've noticed it myself, I'm very easy to give, but when am I actually receiving? And when am I asking as well? And when am I asking for support and, to receive, whether it's just something I need to talk about, it's almost like we're just a self-contained entity that just manage everything ourselves. And really, we need to have connection. We're human.
Yes.
Human connection brings us back. Like I was only saying to a friend, it's like when we're going through stuff, you only need like 8 minutes of conversation with a friend that we trust to actually bring us back, maybe make us laugh, or just to share our experience. Because I always find that when I am going through this, chances are my friend is actually the one that I choose. It's almost like intuitively, they're actually going through something too. And so when we connect, it's like, oh yeah, I feel like that too. Oh, great. Oh, well, we're not alone here. And not the aloneness can be really stifling. It can really, be painful.
Yes.
Nobody wants to feel alone. So it's really practicing reaching out to somebody that or you've got an inkling. I mean, sometimes you can call them up and you think, oh no, they're not gonna be able to support me here. That's okay.
Yeah.
I was just supposed to speak to them anyway,
Yeah.
So it's really digging into your intuition,
Absolutely.
I just need connection.
Williams, hi. Thank you for joining us. Yes, darling, you can ask us anything. Just send it in a message and we will answer for you. No problem. Yeah, no, love. And back to that, I just think that's exactly, but this is why people feel lonely, because they feel like they're a burden if they're going through something, to ask a friend for support or someone just to hear them, or, just listen, just be a sounding board. And I think the more people start practicing using their friends and the people that they feel safe with as a sounding board, they're going to find that they feel less lonely. I think it's important, because community is important. Connection is extremely important. And if you actually pull yourself away from it because you don't want to be a burden, then you don't have the right friends. If you're a burden to your friends, then they're not the right people in your life. We should be able to have a support system around us at all times.
And it's actually learning to listen, because actually that's usually all we need, is just somebody to be present for us and to listen. It's like that. You don't need to give answers. You don't need to make solutions. You just need to have the presence and to be able to listen. It's that simple. But yes, have you ever heard of sugar daddy? Oh dear. Okay. Maybe not. Anything else you'd like to say about embodiment?
Yeah, well, I think it's just, our bodies are not our enemies. It's actually our greatest ally if we really tap into it. Your body will always tell you, when you're ignoring things, as an energetic being, and as a frequency that each of us radiate at. We all have our own frequency, depending on what's going on in our lives. If your body, if you listen to your body, it can be your greatest ally. But if you ignore things emotionally, mentally, then eventually it shows up in the body physically. And this is where we start with injuries, illnesses, diseases, because we're ignoring things that our bodies are trying to tell us. So I think it's really important to be able to embody listening to your body, and when your nervous system's a bit out, allowing your body to process it. Asking yourself, what is it? What is going on that my nervous system is feeling this way? And then you have to regulate it. So make yourself feel safe. Go and take some breaths, maybe shake, dance, whatever you do, wherever you are, whether it's at work, whatever it is, and actually move the energy so that your body feels safe, because that is how you're going to start releasing, things that are going on, blockages, so that so you don't get sick. Prevention is better than cure.
Yeah, it's listening to those early warnings.
Yeah.
Often we have a weakness maybe in our body, like whether it's your neck, whether it's your feet, or there's usually something that reoccurs.
Yes.
So it's really about when that comes, it's usually, have you taken a rest? Have you done something for yourself today? Are you just working on your computer and you're just in go mode? sometimes we forget to take breaks. Sometimes we forget to go for the walk, especially if the weather's bad and it's raining so yeah, it's really getting those reminders in and listening into the body, because it tells us so much about ourselves.
Yeah.
And definitely an early warning mechanism that
I think, how the easiest way to know that you are disembodied is if you've got anxiety, disconnection, feeling numb, living on autopilot, constant distractions. That means you are not embodied. It means you are not being present in yourself, and you're not being present in your life. You are totally distracted. You're always looking for something else to do, something to keep your mind active so that you don't have to be in present. And that means you are disembodied. So if you are feeling any of these things or all of these, my advice is really start really coming into your body, start being present, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Check in with yourself all the time. Like, how am I feeling? How's my body feeling? What does my body need to feel safe right now? If you're in an environment that's very unsafe, what do I need to do? Move, leave, whatever it is. Make the right changes, because then your whole body, your whole life starts to shift. And you actually start living in a much more state of living, and you start vibrating at a higher frequency. And then everything else shifts with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's that simple, really. It's not difficult.
No.
It's just an awareness, a consciousness, and taking action and listening. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not difficult, but we can all do it, but we just forget. So this is just a reminder to
Absolutely.
everyone listening. And and because, there's so much we can do in our lives. It's not about, we want to just excel. We want to follow our passions. We want to do what we love. And, it's like, instead of the body getting in the way, the body can work for you. It can tell you what you need. And if you listen in, then you can accelerate whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. And the body never lies. Your heart never lies. That's why they say you have an intuition, you have a gut feeling, because that's your body telling you. And if you listen to your gut, you will always be right. But we become so consumed and stuck in the mind that you can't actually, it becomes like a roller coaster in the mind, and you can't then see, you have no clarity. You can't see out of it. And so everything then becomes, you feel discombobulated completely. So I think it's really important, that, just small practices every day, just really checking in with the body. That's the easiest way to start, is having the awareness. Like you said, just listening, checking in. How am I feeling? If you're
Yeah,
not feeling, ask yourself,
yeah.
your body will tell you.
Maybe we could put your reset, your breath work reset on here,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I find, for me, listening to a guided meditation or a breath work, you know, because sometimes it's hard to do it just on our own. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's shaking and listening to music and dancing, yeah, but sometimes we need something a little bit deeper. And I think maybe just explain what your reset is.
Yeah, so well, it's like it's a reset. So there's two practices, obviously pre-recorded, guided by me. So the morning practice is a short breath work. So just to get you focused, aligned, to start your day. And I think it's 10 minutes. So you don't really need a lot of time to do this. But before you wake up, before you go on your phone, before you start replying to people, before you start doing anything, just lie in bed, listen to the breath work, practice the breath work, because then you're going to get out of bed feeling present in your body. You're going to feel like you've got focus, clarity to take on the day. And then in the evening, there is a yoga nidra to help with stress. And if you've had a exhausted day and whatever, if you struggle sleeping, you can then just listen to it, and you don't have to do anything. You just got to listen, and it literally will take your body, your nervous system down into a space of rest and digest, so that you can fall asleep and actually the body can heal while you sleep.
Yeah, maybe just explain yoga nidra a little, because I think people think, oh, do I have to use yoga now or something?
No, that's what I'm like. You just lie down, you listen to the audio healing, you just following. It's about not, so you need yoga nidra, instead of it being, it's a meditation. It's a type of meditation. But instead of just doing a meditation, it actually, you've got to keep your awareness So you got to try and stay aware and listen and follow points. So you do like a full body scan, you do a breath awareness, and then you go into a visualization process. By that time, your nervous system is really in a very calm state to set you up and set the body up for a deep, good sleep. It's very, very powerful, actually.
Yeah, I love yoga nidra.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
it's
too.
yeah, I must listen to yours again, actually. Yeah, well, if there's anything else you want to talk about embodiment today, anything else?
Not really, just that, pleasure, rest, joy, play. These are not luxuries in life. They are actually part of embodiment. They're really important things that we need to start creating more of in our lives. And I think,
Yeah,
that's all I really, all I have to say at the end is just really find some joy, shake, dance, do something that lights you up. It doesn't matter what it is. Go into nature, even if it's 5-10 minutes. You don't need a lot of time. Even if it means not doom scrolling for 5-10 minutes out of your life,
yeah,
go make time for yourself, embody yourself, become present in that space so that your mind can find just pockets of stillness, because then you're going to have a lot more answers that are going to come through.
exactly. And maybe take some time away from your phone. I mean, it's that simple. Everything comes from the phone these days. The frequency, we have things going on all the time, and maybe
Yeah.
just taking time out from the phone, taking time out from for a couple of hours every morning, and just not going into your phone, just not diving in there. It's so easily done. We're sort of controlled into, oh, I've got to see what's happening. It's like, no, nothing's happening. Nothing's
But you
happening.
know what? And that's the thing about all these low vibrational frequencies like TVs, phones, is that you should, when you wake up, you should spend the first half an hour off your phone, so that your body can wake up naturally, so that you can be present in yourself, so you can have some stillness in the mind. Because as soon as you look at your phone, your mind's activated. Then you're overstimulated already. And if you're going to bed looking at your phone, you're overstimulated. So then your body doesn't actually heal properly, because your body's still got to come down and rest and find rest and digest your nervous system. And I think people don't take it seriously enough. They're so addicted to this, but that's because of the frequency that it's doing. And that's the whole point of this, is that they want us to be low vibrational beings, because then we are suppressed and we conform and we are controlled. But actually, if you can just morning and night, taking a half an hour, an hour before you go to bed without any stimulation like that, your whole life is going to shift.
Exactly, and you're going to sleep better. People that have sleep, that's probably going to solve them for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll round it up for today. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and
Thank you.
we'll be joining you next week again.
Yes,
More
thank you,
midweek.
Alice. It's always a pleasure and a blessing to be on these sessions with you. Have a beautiful day, my darling. And
Take
to
care.
Curtis and Williams, have a lovely day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.